It's late. It's late. This past week has been hard, guys. I've been sick. I think I had food poisoning. My baby has been sick. She had a COVID test and she was crying so hard she passed out. My 9-month-old passed out in my arms. Very upsetting. Her COVID test was negative. I think she has RSV. She has some respiratory infection that I think maybe she's finally clearing up from after her 4.5-hour nap today. And my toddler is just sick enough to be extra toddlery. So it's been a rough week and is especially maybe appropriate this week to talk about strength. Not this kind, but this kind. So I mentioned in last week's video that I had had some recent challenging conversations with people that I care about deeply, where there were some things said that I very much disagreed with. It sent me down this path and has made me think about a lot of topics, because one of the topics that I disagreed with was, it's a topic that actually came up in a lot of conversations, and that is strength, specifically emotional strength. I wonder if they would say mental strength, if they would say we're talking about different things. I think they would just say like personal strength. They don't mean this kind of strength. They just talk about strength. And now I've said strength enough for the whole video and can't say it again. Let's say emotional strength, because the way that it was used in context, that's what I would call it. It became clear that I have a very different definition of what emotional strength is than the other people I was talking with. So I want to share with you emotional strength, what it is, and how you get it. Oxford Languages describes strength as the emotional or mental qualities necessary in dealing with situations or events that are distressing or difficult. I don't think many people would take issue with that definition. For me, in these conversations, I could tell that the difference between my definition and their definition was in the dealing with part. Because there were a lot of things said like toughen up or man up. And to me, that sounds like you should callus over or scab over these areas, like toughening your skin, get thicker skin, But to me, numbing a feeling doesn't make you stronger. That's not strength. I don't think not feeling is a way to truly deal with anything. I mean, it's a way to get through something, get past something if it's really traumatic and you can't deal in the moment. It's a way to get past that and get to a space where you can deal. But I don't think that's deal. My favorite Eleanor Roosevelt quote is, women are like tea bags. You never know how strong they are until they're in hot water. And I think it works for both genders, all genders, but how a person deals with their hot water will tell you how strong they are, like the tea bag. Story time. So I'm afraid of everything, and Halloween is my least favorite holiday. I do like the costumes. I like the socialness of it, although I think that comes with like every holiday. And in St. Louis, the kids tell jokes when they go door to door. Look it up. It's a cute thing. Anyway, I don't like the gore and the horror factors. It's not for me. So there was one time in my 20s where I agreed to go with some friends to a haunted house, and I was not enjoying it. And I decided I was just going to get through it. And so I walked very quickly through that haunted house, pulling a friend of mine behind me. And I went so quickly that the actors in each scare space didn't have time to reset from the group before. So they were like, what the heck? Come on. Because they're excited to scare people. And I was excited to not be scared. So I got out of there. Was that strength? Was that dealing with a situation or event that was difficult or distressing? Yes. Well, no. It would have shown so much more strength had I gone through at the intended pace and faced each dark corner and experienced it. Saying toughen up is like saying run through the haunted house. Put in earplugs, put on blinders, and just go. Just get through the house and don't care. But if you care, you care. Strengthening up is facing those fears, facing that discomfort, and maybe peeing yourself a little bit on the way, but going through it, experiencing it, so that next time you can be like, hey, I didn't die, or here's something that helped me not be all of the most terrified the entire time. And then that next time I would be a little stronger. The Rock wasn't born The Rock. We're not born strong. We get strong by pushing our limits. Think of how your muscles feel before a workout. You know, they feel like fine, they're there, right? Think of how your muscles feel after a big workout. They feel weak, right? They feel shaky and like noodly and like, oh, I can't stand. Are you weak after a workout? Technically, yes. But you also needed to break down and get to a space where you felt weak in order to be able to get stronger. You have to push past your limits into discomfort in order to get stronger. If you do not exert yourself, if you don't feel resistance, then you're not going to be building strength. You know, me walk running through that haunted house is like going to the gym and sitting in the locker room. You know, I didn't actually do anything to make myself stronger. So understanding that doing hard things is what makes you stronger. I want to reshare a Brene Brown quote that I shared in my last video. It's from her podcast, Unlocking Us. It's from the Tarana Burke episode. She said, I honestly feel like I could spend an hour talking about this quote. Raise your hand if you know rage, powerlessness, pain, trauma. You know, a lot of us have had the experiences we need to share genuine empathy. Not all of us are willing to tap into them to make that connection. So what I think is impossible is to both self-protect and insulate and to see and hear other people at the same time. Oh, Brene. So what she's saying is we have all had pain, and you need to tap into that pain in order to feel empathy. She defines the difference between sympathy and empathy as sympathy is I feel sorry for you, and empathy is I feel with you. So when you're feeling with someone, you have to tap into your own experiences of that feeling. Not that situation, but the feeling. And you can't tap into that to be empathetic and available to someone at the same time as you are protecting yourself, because it can feel really vulnerable to tap into that stuff. I can't do it without doing hand gestures, guys. I can't. I just can't. I feel like self-protection is what people refer to as being tough. That's the callousing. That's the scabbing over. Self-protection is like defense, and empathy is like offense. You know, you can't win a battle with defense alone. I don't know anything about war, but like probably. You can't win a game with defense alone unless the other team scores negative points, which is possible in some games. And if you get like a pick six or like a touchback, I don't know. And it can be hard to even self-protect. I know a lot of people who don't feel like they're worthy of their own protection, people who have such low self-value. I don't think those people would see it that way, but it's really painful to watch someone you care about themselves so little that they won't even protect themselves when they totally deserve to be protected. This is another video, I'm digressing. The difference between toughness and strength is the difference between self-protection and empathy. When you are self-protecting, you are being tough. When you are empathizing, you are showing strength. I did think of a metaphor that I'm really excited about, you guys. I guess it's a simile. Anyway, you know in aerobics videos, like workout videos, when they have like the person in the front doing the standard workout, and then they have two people in the back, and one of them's doing like the low intensity, gentle beginner workout, and then the other one is doing the like masterclass show off, how is that humanly possible workout. I feel like the low intensity, I'm deciding that person's over here. The low intensity is sympathy, is I feel bad for you. And then the main person in the front doing the main exercise is empathy, is I feel with you. And then the masterclass, the really hard one, is having empathy, feeling with a person, specifically when the content of what they are saying points a finger in your direction. It may be overt and it may not, but when they're saying something that indicates that you have some responsibility in why they feel the negative thing they're feeling, and staying in empathy and not turning to defense, not going back into self-protection. That's the masterclass. It's tough. We've seen a lot of people over the last year really struggling with that. It's hard. It is advanced. Watch my video about worrying and you'll understand why I'm saying this, but I honestly think that if emotional strength doesn't sound hard and like something we're all working towards, like if you think that you've got it, if you think you are set with emotional strength, I would imagine that you have either done a lot of work in therapy and elsewhere on yourself, or you and I have very different definitions of emotional strength. Because this ish is hard. It is hard. So if you were in the other camp and you are feeling overwhelmed and feeling the gravity of how hard this is, I want to again say the Rock was not born the Rock. The Dalai Lama was not born the Dalai Lama. You know, one day at a time, facing hard stuff and trying to remain in an empathetic state is, I think, going to help strengthen. There are times you should self-protect. Not everybody should get your empathy, I think. There are people who talk out of their pain not from a vulnerable place, but from like an angry place. And when they are angry, they are not accessing their own pain. And I choose in those situations which ones I will go to a place of empathy, because sometimes it can disarm people, but sometimes it just is, you know, it's like going belly up, you know, being like a armadillo, porcupine. Anyway, a relatively recent favorite quote of mine is from my chiropractor. She's got a printout in her office that says, "It never gets easier, you just get better." You know, lifting a 30-pound bag of dog food never gets easier. If I do it more often or lift heavier things, I get better at lifting a 30-pound bag of dog food. Unfortunately, we can't measure or prove emotional strength or internal strength the way that we can external strength, physical strength. Brene Brown has another quote in that podcast episode where she says, "We don't work on folks' insides as much as we work on their outsides." I do feel like the needle's shifting a little bit, but we work so much on our outsides that it's going to be really hard to move that needle. But I encourage you to be a part of that needle moving. Let's work on our insides. I'd like to modify the definition I shared at the beginning of this and say that strength is having the emotional or mental qualities necessary in staying present and emotionally available through situations and events that are distressing or difficult. Not just dealing with, but dealing with, really dealing with. That's it. That's how I feel about strength. I don't mean to be shady to people whose definition of strength is to toughen up. I do think that that's kind of a starting point. You know, that's maybe right before sympathy, you know, in the strength category. And again, sometimes I feel like that's what we need. We need to toughen up to get through something so we can get to a place where we feel safe enough to deal. Yeah. This ish is hard. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like this video and please subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye. The emotional or mental qualities necessary in dealing with situations or events that are distressing or difficult. The emotional or mental qualities necessary in dealing with situations or events that are distressing or difficult.